Our lives are full of decisions. Should I change jobs? What's the best school? Will the market turn? Play ads or skip? At the Wall Street Journal, we know how important decisions are. So we provide accurate reporting and insight without bias or agenda. Whenever you have a decision to make sure you have the trusted information you need to make it. Decisions define our lives. Trust yours. Visit WSJ.com/podcast offer to start reading for 50% off.
When the brightest minds at the University of Florida come together, something extraordinary happens. Engineering empowers medicine. Data science drives agriculture. Geology fuels space exploration. And artificial intelligence transforms learning and research. The ideas that go on to change the world. They're launching right from here. At the collision of big ideas and massive potential, something momentous becomes possible. At the University of Florida, ufl.edu.
Hey, it's Jonas Knox, Brady Quinn. It's Outkick the Coverage here on Fox Sports Radio. Coming up on Friday's episode, the Clippers are back in the series, but the bigger question is, what the hell was with that mask that Devin Booker had on? We'll try and break all that down and explain our thoughts on it. You've got trouble in Pittsburgh when it comes to the Steelers, and also not a big fan of the music to get fans hyped up there. We've also got John Paul Morosi joining us live from Montreal to talk about the great run by the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, believe it or not, NHL talk on the program. We got some other NFL news and notes, quarterbacks without a lot of time to throw, an NFL money grab, and Animal Thunderdome. All of that is yours next here. Jonas Knox, Brady Quinn, Outkick the Coverage here, Fox Sports Radio.
Outkick the Coverage live every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. 3 to 6 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. Find your local station for Outkick the Coverage at foxsportsradio.com. Or stream us live every morning on the iHeartRadio app by searching FSR.
Now let's get this party started.
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio.
The man himself, the one, the only, taking you all the way up until 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific, Brady Quinn.
That's right, baby. It's Friday. I cannot wait for the weekend. I'm sure there's many others who feel that way too. But for me, it's more about just the chance to kind of regroup. You know, usually after the weeks that we work together, it's always a pleasure, but we get a chance to regroup, see what we can do better, see what happens in the sports world. We might not have quite as much going on. My wife's going out of town with my oldest, so Alicia's leaving with my oldest. So I'm playing Home Alone dad with two kids by myself. So I will be out. I guess I shouldn't say outmanned, outwomaned, as I've got my two younger daughters left with me. So it's probably going to be a disaster, but I will try to have some fun daddy time, over the next couple of days while I'm solo, just trying to man the fort, just trying to make sure this place doesn't burn down.
All right, so she's gone for the entire weekend, your wife, or is she just gone for the night?
No, she's gone today and then tomorrow. And what she's doing is she's actually taking our eldest to the Olympic trials. So kind of neat deal, pretty neat deal. When obviously your wife, competed in the Beijing Olympics back in 2008, the chance that she gets to go back, kind of show her daughter what she was able to do, meet some other people, gymnasts. It's pretty cool. And obviously our oldest daughter wants to kind of follow in her footsteps. I don't know that she ever will, but at least this is kind of the beginning of that journey, doing it with her mom.
Okay, and does your daughter have any idea, or any of your daughters have any idea that you guys are famous? Has that ever come up? Have they started to get an idea?
They don't even know what that is. They'll see Daddy on TV talking sometimes, and Alicia will send me the videos. They just think it's kind of cool, or they'll, especially when they're younger, they'll try to talk at the TV, or they get upset if the TV went somewhere else. But that's to the extent. That's really all they know. They don't really fully understand sports and TV and everything else that comes along with it.
So needless to say, they don't listen to this show.
They're not awake right now.
Okay,
that's the first thing, Jonas.
All right,
do you think most kids just wake up at this hour and they're getting ready to tune in to their dad talk on sports talk radio?
Listen, I don't know. You live a very disciplined, regimented life, so I don't know if they're already out doing chores or if they're milking the cows.
They're hand cleaning right now. As you know, we're a big family of meatheads. So they're hand
very good.
Right
all right,
now.
That's good. That's always I think the best approach when your daughter turns 3-4 years old. Just
get
put
her in the weight room.
Yeah, power cleans. Yeah. Power cleans, get them started.
It's funny we're having this conversation because I was talking to my dad yesterday, and he had gone with one of my cousins to go watch him play lacrosse, and he's a little undersized and all that. And my dad's the type that, like, when I was young, and I was a little more like underweight, he was literally making me protein shakes with like 2,500 calories, and I was probably 6-7 years old, and I remember it would feel like I ate a brick, and I had to go out there and run around and play. But he was so concerned with me not putting on enough weight at like 6 years old that he was making me these like Rocky-style protein shakes with heavy weight gainer 2,000 and a couple of cracked eggs and some, banana, whatever else in there, just so I could put on weight at 6 years old. It wasn't necessarily Todd Marinovich, but it was kind of venturing like to that. Like he was, in the military, a former Marine, big into all that stuff. But it was one of the funnier things ever. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I have no desire to do that to any of my daughters, any of my kids. Whatever comes after if we keep having kids.
All right. So and thank God it wasn't Todd Marinovich, because years later you would have ended up nude in somebody's fountain. That is basically though where Major League Baseball is. I mean, it's nude in someone's fountain or nude on a pitcher's mound. So yeah, I mean, listen,
it could have been either place. Yeah,
whichever way you slice it.
Right.
Here's what I would say though, because something has become painfully obvious to me. All right. Well, a couple of things. Number one, I have no idea who's going to win or who to bet on game to game in the NBA playoffs. I have no idea. I've completely given up at this point. Chris Paul comes back, still no Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers looked fantastic last night. And it was awesome, and Staples Center was rocking. You had the Suns, who seemingly were in control and the most dominant team and hadn't lost since the first round against the LA Lakers. And then they go into last night, and it's a completely different team with Chris Paul back. So I have no idea. Maybe you've got a read on things. Maybe you've got a gauge as to how this whole thing is going to finish up, because I absolutely do not, which is probably not the right thing to say as a sports talk radio host, but I have no idea how this thing's going to go. I've given up.
Look, if history is bound to repeat itself, the Clippers are going to be the first team to basically face 3-0-2 deficits and come out of it on top and be playing in the NBA Finals. I mean, that's what happened against Dallas and Utah, and it looks like they just feel more comfortable for whatever reason. And again, like I said this yesterday, I don't know if it's true or not. I do know with some people or some athletes feel like they don't like being the front runner. They like having something to chase, something to go after. They like feeling like the pressure is off and they're an underdog. Well, that's the position they're in now. Even though they won last night and they looked like they were playing pretty decent, I kind of go back and I look at the first half and I'm going, how in the hell are their Suns up right now? I mean, Chris Paul coming back after a long layoff, he looked rusty.
Yeah,
it looked out of sync. Devin Booker dealing with the Phantom of the Opera mask. He looked like he was having a hard time. I don't know if it was adjusting to the mask and hitting shots or feeling comfortable, but he had a down shooting night. And yet they were still up at half. And I'm watching this going, like, how is this possible? How are the Suns even in this? Because they really didn't play well, especially if you're considering Chris Paul and Booker, their two best players. That was their worst first half of the entire season. And then as you watch the second half, continue, you're just like, this is not the Suns' night. So I don't know. I'm right there with you, because as much as I'm anticipating the Clippers coming out in Game 4 and being able to tie this thing up 2-2, I'm also really curious to see, like, what do the Suns do? Because I feel like that game was more about the Suns losing, having an off night. It just wasn't there for them. Getting Chris Paul back, getting him back in the flow of things, than it was really about the Clippers. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Clippers, Clipper Nation, that apparently, you're saying owns L.A. now.
I mean,
you're saying the Clipper Nation owns the Staples Center.
Look, in the
is that the case?
In the words of the great Ben Maller, it's hip to be Clip. I mean, it is. It's a big deal out here. The Clippers are running Los Angeles. Staples Center. There are people that have talked about Staples Center. They've never seen it as electric. Everybody's got Clipper fever. Like, you can't go anywhere. There are Clipper flags on cars all across the greater Southern California.
There's homeless people on Venice Beach.
I'm telling you.
Jerseys.
Listen, I'm telling you, like, people walking around with throwback Michael Olowokandi jerseys. Like, it really is something. Michael Cage, his name is being brought up again. You remember Michael Cage with the back in the day, played for the Sonics
is that the guy
and the Clippers?
from Mortal Kombat? Oh, okay.
No, that was no. That's a good pull, though.
Johnny Cage, is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah, that's what
Cage?
it was.
Okay.
Johnny Cage. I was more of a Street Fighter guy, more of a Zangief guy myself.
Wait, is that Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Well, that's Mortal Kombat. I believe Johnny Cage is Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter is the one with Ryu and
that's right.
Zangief.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I was
Bison.
more of Street Fighter growing up. And then I just stopped playing video games. So
and then, agreed. And then Dalsum, because I'm big into Muay Thai, so Dalsum was like a video game version of a Muay Thai fighter. So,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but look, I'm not really into video games. It's more your speed. I watch all 22s in football. That's really what I do. I watch game film. I'm a football guy. I know you grew up in video games and arcades. You played at Tilt, things like that. I was.
What is Tilt?
Tilt. It's like a video game place back in the day, like an arcade. I
have no idea what that is.
I don't either. I just, I don't know where that came from. I must have read off your notes
like a good
or
name
something.
of a bar.
It does. It absolutely does. But so a couple of things did become obvious to me, and I'm glad you brought up Devin Booker's mask. I've got several questions on that later in the show. But here's the other thing. It has become clear. If I may not know what's going to happen in the NBA playoffs, I know this without a shadow of a doubt. TNT's coverage is so much better than ESPN's, and it's not even close. It's not even close, dude. And this is not a shot at ESPN, because ESPN has done amazing things, and I love a lot of of ESPN's programming, and they are the reason why a lot of things exist. So they have had nothing but success. This is not hate. This is not trying to bust balls. Facts are facts. It is night and day watching a TNT broadcast and an ESPN broadcast when it comes to covering the NBA. Night and day.
The biggest difference for me is this, and to your point. Look, ESPN considers themselves the worldwide leader, and I think they have been for a long, long period of time in some of the ways they've operated or some of the sports they've operated. You can talk about the last 5 years or last 10 years and really what's happened over the course of that period of time, and seeing people chip away at that market share. But I digress. The difference for me in watching a TNT NBA produced game is it seems like it's more centered around the game. It's more centered around the basketball itself. I mean, even though you've got, the pre-post game show with guys like Charles and Kenny and Chuck and Ernie, they're as big of stars as they are, as entertaining as they are, it's still about the game. I watch ESPN and I'm like, gosh, man, they try to interject so much stuff, or they just try to do things they think are cool or funny, and it's just it fails every time. Like, their biggest mistake right now in watching sports is ESPN tries to make sure it's an ESPN broadcast because either their producers or their talent want to interject their thoughts in a way that makes it seem like it's just taking over for the game. Like taking over in replace of what you came there to watch in the first place. That's what I can't stand. Like I literally, I always love hearing kind of what the analysts have to say pre-halftime post because, I do a college football pregame show. So I think there's always things that I can take, even though it's a different sport, higher level, and then apply to what we do at Fox. When I watch ESPN's pre and halftime, I'm just going, there's nothing I can take away from this. There's nothing. There's nothing I would want to take away from that pre-half post-game show and apply to what I'm trying to do professionally. And then I watch TNT, and I literally am writing down quotes, writing down things that they're talking about and saying, and keep it in my mind for the fall. Just because, again, the way they go about presenting it, the way they go about talking about it, even though there's huge stars and they're funny and they have their moments, it's still about the game. So, look, I can't wait, to watch any TNT-produced basketball game. Those guys are gold. Literally, I know they've pitched around the idea of having, Charles or other guys do, football games, things like that. I think they could do it. Because I think the way they resonate with the audience is so natural and so real, even though you kind of tend to forget they're superstars. But they make you feel like you're sitting right next to them, watching the game and talking about it when we get a chance to see them pre, half, and post.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. Just the delivery, the presentation, I just think certain networks, certain people do things better than everybody else, and TNT does NBA coverage better than anybody else, and I don't even think it's close.
Hand down, man down.
Yeah,
that's a great. That's a great. I don't know what that means. I'll be honest with you. Like I know if someone's hitting a 3, but that's the really only thing in that. I'm like, what are you explaining when you say that?
I don't think who knows, man. I mean, listen, better than what I could do. I can tell you that. I've dabbled in play-by-play or tried to call games before.
Yeah,
awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. Just not good. Not good at all. I try and stick to what I know, which is
that's because you kind of got to take it seriously, you know.
Yeah, well, no, thank you. Yeah, it's good. I love that you like to present me as the payaso of sports talk.
You can't make crank jokes, all right, in the middle of a game, and that tends to come out from time to time.
All right, first of all, I haven't made a crank joke in at least 2 weeks, so
that is not true.
Okay,
that is not. Hold on a second. Now,
2 days.
I don't know if Danny G or Roberto or someone can back me up on this. 2 days?
Yeah, 2 days.
That's not true.
I don't think I made one yesterday. Listen, I don't think I made one yesterday. It's
within
a step
the last
in the
week.
It's a step in the right direction. Can we at least say that it's a step in the right direction? All right.
Pretty sure Sunday night you did. Pretty sure Sunday night you did.
Well, listen, a different audience, and sometimes you get back around your old buddies again, and next thing you know, everything just falls apart. The diet falls apart. You start staying out later, and that's what happens when you and I get together on Sunday nights. We break curfew. We go into places we probably shouldn't go, and things get a little bit wild. But nonetheless, regardless, it's been a fun NBA watch thus far when it comes to the postseason. We have got obviously Bucks Hawks Game 2 of that series coming up later on tonight, so we'll have plenty more on Suns Clippers as well too later on in the show. He's Brady Quinn. I'm Jonas Knox. Outkick the coverage here, Fox Sports Radio. All right, coming up next, there's a team that was making some moves, an NFL team making some moves. But could this be the beginning of the end for the success of one franchise? We'll get into all of that for you. Outkick the coverage next here, Fox Sports Radio.
This is Outkick the coverage.
Our lives are full of decisions. Like, play ads or skip? Will the market turn? Should I change jobs? What's the best school? Can my diet help the climate? And what's a flexitarian? At the Wall Street Journal, we know how important decisions are. It's why we mine every source, every document, every data point. We verify every tip, every soundbite, every fact, to provide you with accurate reporting and insight without bias or agenda, so that whenever you have a decision to make, you have the trusted information you need to make it. Decisions define our lives. Trust yours. Visit WSJ.com/podcast offer to start reading for 50% off.
We are so close to all being together, we can sense it. From hearts beating out of our chest, baby scents that whisper, I love you, to hugs and kisses from childhood. Because getting closer and closer together is priceless. Learn more about the COVID-19 vaccines at mastercard.us/getvaxsupport and start something priceless.
Bottom of the hour, or a little over 10 minutes from now. Very, very bizarre look. It was a bizarre look in the world of sports, but we will be getting into all of that here again 10 minutes from now on FSR. So Brady Quinn, the Pittsburgh Steelers announced yesterday the release of David DeCastro, the two-time All-Pro guard of the Steelers. He's been there his entire career, and the Steelers were parting ways with him. He's got, was it bone spurs in the ankle?
It's an issue with his ankle. Yeah.
I mean, geez, that just sounds like a brutal injury. Like that sounds painful. There are certain injuries that goes, like a torn rotator cuff. I've had one. It doesn't sound as bad as bone spurs in the ankle, which are basically floating pieces of bone in your ankle. Is that what it is?
Well, what I imagine is like the spurs on the back of cowboy boots, but just inside on your bones. Like that's how I picture bone spurs. Like that doesn't sound or look like it'd feel good. That's essentially what it is. And it's something that from a surgical standpoint, they can take care of it to a degree, but it's something that you'll continue to keep dealing with because obviously there's other underlying issues. regardless, the Steelers are losing a 6-time Pro Bowler, as you said, a 2-time, first-team All-Pro. This is a guy who I think has been one of the anchors of their offensive line, and I don't know. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, man. I got to be honest with you. Ben's going into what looks to be potentially his final season, and that offensive line group was one that Le'Veon Bell probably didn't appreciate as much as he should have. I think Ben does appreciate it, but I don't think they get enough credit for how good they were during a period of time of Pittsburgh Steelers' success and offensive play. It always was about Ben, the wide receivers, or Le'Veon Bell. I think you're looking after last year, seeing the way that group played. Maybe it should have been more about the offensive line, because now they've only got one starter coming back from last year's group, but they are far, far ways from where I think they've been and where they need to be in order to win a Super Bowl.
So they were the worst rushing team in the NFL last year. They could not run the football, and so Ben had to throw it a bunch. And the offense, I think, looked a little bit different.
Well, and quickly, too.
Yes.
You can go on the NFL's website. They've got those advanced stats.
Under 2 seconds or something?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And people are like, well, Ben can't throw it downfield anymore after the arm injury. It's like, no, dude, they can't protect him anymore. They realize that, they can't run the football. So that play action pass and all that, everything down the field, they can't protect long enough to let him throw down the field. So it's more of an issue with the offensive line. You and I talked about it at the beginning of the season. It was one of the things in watching the all-22s, as you would like to say. I kind of started to diagnose going, this group doesn't look the same, man. They're not blocking quite the same. And Ben can't move the way he used to. So it kind of sets up to be disappointing, to be honest with you.
Okay, let me just take me in and take people listening into what it's like as a quarterback when you know you've got less than 2 seconds to get rid of the football every single time you take a snap. What's that feel? What is that feeling like? Here's
the problem: is you can't think that. Even if that's the reality, you can't think that, because then what happens is, it's not like that all the time. When they're saying he gets rid of the football in less than 2 seconds, what they're really saying is their offense involves probably some quick screens, some quick passing game, maybe an RPO or two that they get off that fast, and that's incorporated in the offense and in that stat. But the reality is, as a quarterback, you can't be dropping back thinking, oh no, I only have 2 seconds to get this ball off. If you do, you're going to end up then on plays where you do have more time, looking jittery, looking as some analysts or people would like to say happy feet, all that sort of verbiage. You're going to look like that. And it's going to be bad for the offense, bad for your mental state out there trying to stay relaxed and calm in the pocket and make plays. So it's almost like a batter, all right? When you're up there, I always felt like I'm expecting fastball, I'm going to react to off speed because I have a bit more time to react to it, right? It's kind of like that with quarterback play. You're dropping back where you're expecting to get protection. And until something breaks down, then you adjust. But you're not dropping back with the intent in your mind, I'm going to get pressure. Even if they look like they're bringing pressure, you usually have it picked up, or you have an idea of how to handle it, and that's what you're communicating. So the issue becomes more for the Steelers is when you think you've got it picked up and you don't, because you got guys who are in one-on-one battles, and they're losing up front. And that's, I think, one of the things that the Steelers realized last season was that offensive line group can't win those one-on-one battles. And it's becoming really apparent. Now, in David DeCastro's departure, they ended up signing Trey Turner, who, as a veteran around the league, he could be a solid guard as well. But there's a lot of shuffling, man. There's a lot of shuffling for an offensive line group that I think has paved the way for a good period of time in the NFL. And I'm not sure how this is going to work out for the Pittsburgh Steelers in a division where we watched the Cleveland Browns at least look like they surpassed them in the playoffs last year. Chalk that game up to bad luck, whatever you want to say after the beginning of the game. But maybe the Browns have surpassed them. And we always have known Baltimore is going to be a great rival for them. So it's going to be a tough division, too, I think, for them to be able to compete for that top spot.
I still remember the line going into that game. It was 6. It was Steelers -6. And I remember that because I needed that game in order to go perfect that weekend in my bets. Like let me tell you something, man. Knox Locks was on fire that opening round of the postseason. Yeah. Oh my God! And then you and I were live on the air for it. And let me just tell for Steeler Nation here, you have always had respect for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Even being a Cleveland Brown, you've always had respect. I picked them to win the
Super Bowl last year.
Yes.
I mean, and here's the thing is, and we talked about this. Like they looked as much as they were undefeated for the first time. What would they go 11-0?
Yes.
Before they got beat last year.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to you, I was like, I'm not happy about it. I don't feel good about it because they're undefeated, but they don't look like they're playing well. Like they're not clicking on all cylinders, or they don't look like they have that extra gear when they need it. Their defense was fantastic. Offensively, there was a lot of struggles. And so you could kind of see that coming.
And they also didn't really get a bye week because if you remember, the Tennessee had some sort of COVID violation. So Pittsburgh found out all of a sudden halfway through a week, no, this is going to be your bye week. So it's not like they really had a bye week. And that's why getting that first round bye in the postseason was so crucial to them. So by the time they got there, they got kind of shafted a little bit with some of the scheduling. And I think the first game they lost was at Washington. Was that like the Wednesday game? Wasn't there a game like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? I think it was Washington beat them.
The Titans-Bills game I know was on a Tuesday because that was the one that everyone was saying, well, how could the Titans play this game? They haven't practiced. They haven't been in the facility in over 10 days and all this stuff. And then they opened up a can of whoop, on the Buffalo Bills.
Whoop ass. I think you were trying to say whoop ass. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I know we could say it's Sunday nights. I don't know the policy here.
Listen, everybody knows what a can of whoop ass is, and it was served last year time and time again in the NFL. But I just. So and the reason I say you've always had respect for the Steeler organization, so this is not, this isn't like this is, hey, you said, what is it, Styx Renegade? Is that the name of the song they play there?
Man. I'll tell you what, when you go to different stadiums in the NFL, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better experience than heading into the fourth quarter. All the terrible towels are waving. The weather's probably going to be crappy, I'll be honest with you. It's not going to be like sunny and nice out. It's going to be kind of rainy and cold and windy, and you've got all of a sudden Styx Renegade starting to play, and the crowd just goes nuts. That, to me, is one of the better environments in the NFL, and especially going into a fourth quarter in a tight game. To be honest with you, not that we ever really played many tight games in Pittsburgh heading into the fourth quarter with any team BS. I was a part of. Yeah.
Hold on a second. I remember I'll tell you the story after the break because I remember where I was when this happened, and I want to see if you remember this game because I believe you started this game. All right, so we will
wasn't
get to
in Pittsburgh then.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, don't kill the tease completely, all right? I want to leave at least people a little bit of a mystery here on a Friday, Brady, as we head into the weekend. All right, he's Brady Quinn. I'm Jonas Knox. This is Outkick the Coverage here on Fox Sports Radio. So a little trip down memory lane, plus a very bizarre look in the world of sports. That's next. For all the latest, though, Mr. Pittsburgh Steeler himself, a man who has no doubt heard Styx Renegade at Heinz Field time and time again, the great Eddie Garcia.
I have heard it, and honestly, I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, it's cool because it gets everybody fired up, but I don't like. This is the song. Okay, all right.
Eddie, all I know is when you compare it to like other NFL venues, there's not really as much to compare it to. Like that's kind of more of a college thing, maybe. But it is one of the more unique things in the NFL. I always thought it was kind of cool as an opponent.
Should we listen to it together on the air and then decide whether or not we're fired up about it?
It doesn't do it justice.
It doesn't do it justice. And then,
and you need to see like the video board, and you need to feel like the nip in the air, and you see the terrible towels waving. Some guy who doesn't have any teeth in the front row yelling some obscenities at you.
What do they call? Is it Yinzers? I think that's what they call. Yeah, Yinzers. It's what they call people from Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Right. Like I said, it's cool, but that song doesn't really fire me up. But it's just me. Anyway. All right. NBA playoffs. We had Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals where the Clippers beat the Suns 106-92. Kawhi Leonard still out for LA with the knee issue, but Paul George had 27 points. Reggie Jackson added 23 points in the win. Chris Paul did return for Phoenix. He came back from COVID. 39 minutes. He had 15 points. Devin Booker also just 15 points. He was 5 of 21 shooting, 1 of 7 behind the three-point line. The Suns' 9-game playoff win streak comes to an end, but they still have a 2-1 edge in the series. NHL playoffs, league semifinals. The Canadiens beat the Golden Knights 3-2 3-2 in overtime. Arturi Lehkonen with the game winner in sudden death. Canadians win the series 4-2 in advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 1993. So Vegas, who had the most wins in the NHL at 40 this year, they're out. Montreal came into the playoffs with the worst record and fewest points of any team. They were down 3-1 in the first round of Toronto. They've won 11 of 13 since, and they're 4 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. In baseball games to note, we had the Cubs shutting out the Dodgers 4-0. As a matter of fact, the Cubs no-hit the Dodgers behind 4 different pitchers. Starter Zach Davies, relievers Ryan Tepera, Andrew Chafin, and closer Craig Kimbrell, all on the combined no-hitter. 7th no-hitter of the season that ties a Major League record. Cubs also move into a tie with Milwaukee for the NL Central lead. Brewers had the night off. The Rays walk off with a 1-0 win over the Red Sox. They win it on a wild pitch in the bottom of the ninth. Tampa Bay reclaims first place in the AL East. They're a half game up on Boston. And the Astros made it 11 wins in a row with a 12-3 drubbing of the Orioles. And now back to Jonas Knox and Brady Quinn in the Outkick the Coverage studios.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You just see Troy Polamalu throwing his hair back.
Yep. James Harrison.
Oh, God.
Just starting to flex his gigantic biceps.
Oh, my God. He's got, like, quads like Volvos.
Just picture the score, but it's all black. You kind of feel the beat with it. Just that bass starts hitting every time.
Oh, jeez. Oh, and then Juju comes out and makes a TikTok video. Listen, I'm telling you, man. You know what? Yeah, I'm with Eddie. I don't get it. I don't like this. This is not.
I think when you throw Juju in there making a TikTok video, that's where it goes downhill fast.
Yeah, maybe that's where it was ruined. Yeah, Eddie. Upon further review, I'm with you. I don't. This would not be my go-to song. I don't think. You know, I think we need the atmosphere.
It's not about the song or like the lyrics. You've got to be there for it, combined with the atmosphere, with the fans, the terrible towels. Probably spitting some rain. You know, it's going to be some ugly conditions. You know, clouds are rolling in. I'm telling you, man, it is. It's one of the cooler things to kind of see going into a fourth quarter.
Okay, I'll kick the coverage here. Fox Sports Radio. Jonas Knox, Brady Cohen with you here on FSR. Eddie, the Steelers come to you and they say, "Hey, we heard you trashed our song inside the Heinz Field there on national radio. Can you come up with something better? What would be your go-to?"
I don't know, like. For Whom the Bell Tolls from Metallica or something like that.
They play that
with the bells.
They play that at Soldier Field though, and the Bears are bad, so that doesn't work.
I didn't know they do that at Soldier Field.
Enter Sandman.
That's
Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, they do that.
Yeah, that's true.
White Zombie, More Human Than Human. Although it sounds like
yeah, come on.
Now you're trying it's already established. It's not going to.
Yeah, now you're trying too hard. Like, first off, have you guys been there for it?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
They go crazy. No, it's a great. What it does is great, but this song in particular doesn't get me fired up.
You gotta. I'm with you on that, but you got to differentiate the two. I mean, look, I don't know that Styx fires up many people. All right, is that the band you're going up with to get fired up?
Mr. Roboto would be better. Come on.
Oh, jeez. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is. No, it's a fair point.
You gonna play Toto? Is that where you're gonna go next? I mean, what are we doing here?
By the way, that song is so bad. I can't even believe that song. Africa, what is it called?
Well, that's one of many hits they have. Try Hold the Line. Don't even try to tell me you don't think that's a good song.
Yeah, hold this. All right, Brady Quinn, Jonas Knox here. It's Outkick the Coverage on Fox Sports Radio. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. All right, so yeah, what are you gonna? They'll leave it alone. Listen, a mature guy over here, leaving it alone.
I almost got you.
Professional broadcaster. I'm not gonna let you steer me into the ditch. It's not gonna happen. Even though we got one show left, it's not gonna happen. Devin Booker's mask. The hell is that, man? There's something off with that mask. That doesn't look like Rip Hamilton. We grew up on Rip Hamilton. Rip Hamilton had such a good mask that he just decided, even post broken nose, I'm just going to wear it the rest of my career. And it looked fantastic. Devin Booker's mask look like Tom Cruise off Vanilla Sky. Like what the hell is with that mask? And I would have thought after the year we've been through that we would have figured out a way to come up with a mask that would best represent everybody involved and be more comfortable, considering all of us are experts on wearing masks now. I mean, what the hell? It looked like his face was being swallowed by that thing. Didn't it seem uncomfortable to you?
Well, I don't know that any of them are comfortable. I mean, I think that's part of the biggest issue with the way he shot last night. And not saying that he looked like he was uncomfortable when he was out there. I just think any player having to deal with something like that in a big moment in the playoffs is always going to be difficult. So it looked similar to the one Rip Hamilton had, but I don't know. I mean, I actually get to work with Rip, and I've never asked him how long it took them to perfect that mask. I'd imagine they went through a series of masks before they got there. I don't think the first one they made for him was the one he stuck with the rest of his career. I think he probably had to do it a significant amount of times before they got it perfected and he felt comfortable wearing it.
I also thought about this. In the NFL, if you have a broken nose, tough balls, right? I mean, listen, hey, man, that's part of the deal. You're going to get your helmet smashed down onto your nose, and you're probably going to pour blood again. That's the way this goes. In the NBA, you've got this protective shield. What's the plan in the NFL? You get a broken nose, you just got to wear it, right? That's it. You can protect it all you want. What do you wear? A visor's not going to help anything, is it? I mean, what are we talking
a visor would help if someone could put their hand through your face mask and be able to break it, which doesn't happen that often. Usually what happens is your chin strap isn't put on properly. And so that combined with your helmet, if there's not enough air in it and it doesn't fit tight enough, usually when you get hit or when you collide with someone, that helmet will kind of move down if the chin strap doesn't help keep it in place and the helmet doesn't. And that's what happens. The actual top of your helmet will come down and slam into your nose and end up basically breaking it. That's more of the issue you have. So there's really not much more you can do if you don't have a proper helmet, fitting helmet. But for the most part, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah,
most guys have face masks that either can protect against it, or again, like I said, they've really taken a lot of contact with the head out of football. So it's not as big of an issue as it used to be back in the day.
This is Outkick the Coverage.
Hey, it's Ben, host of the Fifth Hour with Ben Maller, along with my trusty sidekick, David Gascon. Would mean a lot to have you join us on our weekly auditory journey. You're asking, what in God's name is the Fifth Hour? I'll tell you, it's a spin-off of the Ben Maller Show, a cult hit overnights on FSR. Why should you listen? Picture, if you will, a world where we chat with captains of industry in media, sports, and more every week. Explore some amazing facts about human nature and more. Listen to the Fifth Hour with Ben Maller on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
After all that planning, it's happening. Your DIY closet renovation is finally becoming a reality. Question is, where do you put your things while you work? CubeSmart has you covered with month-to-month leases and self-storage solutions that make it easier to get organized. Online or in person, getting self-storage is convenient and fast. And because DIY renovations can easily go over budget, it's great that CubeSmart is offering up to 25% off your monthly rent. Say goodbye to before and hello to after with CubeSmart Self-Storage. Visit CubeSmart.com for more details.
My summer is going to look like this. There's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to hang out with the family. I'm going to be barbecuing a bunch. And whether it's for work or play, a lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. So my advice to you, take your Raycons with you. Whether you're listening to Fox Sports Radio like you are now, or you've got a new favorite band out there, maybe there's even a TV show theme song you like. A pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears can make all the difference. And here's the other thing. It's 24-hour battery life. So if you're thinking to yourself, my God, I don't know if I've got enough juice. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this workout. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this drive. Don't worry about it. Raycon's got you covered. Listen up. Raycon's offering 15% off all their products for my listeners, and here's what you've got to do to get it. Go to buyraycon.com/outkick. There you'll get 15% off your entire Raycon order, and it's such a good deal you'll want to grab a pair and a spare. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/outkick. buyraycon.com/outkick. Africa, what is it called?
Well, Africa? That's one of many hits they have. Try Hold the Line. Don't even try to tell me you don't think that's a good song.
Yeah, Hold This. Very good.
It's a great song, though, man. Listen to the lyrics. Come on.
I'd rather not. This just sounds like.
You know what though? Your window for like music and bands or performing artists you like is so small, and it's very catty of you. Like I get it. You were in that industry for a little bit, But can you be respectful of at least other people out there who are doing it?
Here's all right. By the way, Outkick the Coverage. Brady Quinn, Jonas Knox here on FSR. Here is why I tend to be very critical of music. Because I know it pisses people off, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that people get so worked up because it's all subjective. Like what one person's ears hear that they like is different from somebody else's. Like the band I was in was terrible. We were awful. I say that. I was in that band for years. I wrote music. It was terrible. So when I call somebody out,
you just call everyone else awful around you. Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
Listen, if I'm going down, they're all going down with me in flames. That's the way this goes, man. Like, and plus, people take it way too personal, and people get way too offended by it, and I just can't help myself. I mean, you tell me you don't try and when USC had all their scandals, when Aunt Becky from Full House got popped and went to prison, you didn't take a little bit of delight in that, Brady Quinn? Come on now, come on.
I'm not sure that really compares, though. Like, when one situation, someone's doing something wrong and they get caught and punished for it, what does that have to do with you just thinking every band stinks?
Well, no, it's just taking delight in other people being frustrated and bothered by what is being said. Just taking delight in that.
You're missing the point. I think you're missing the point.
All I know is this, is that song stinks. That's all I know. And I think at least we were able to clear that up here on Fox Sports Radio.
I'm still waiting for a song you actually like.
Listen, Al, you want to go Alice in Chains? I mean, little Alice in Chains.
We can't be bench pressing every day of the week.
It's not bench pressing. I mean, go read through some Alice in Chains lyrics. Boy, it's a wonder that things were able to get done in that band. Very, very puzzling stuff there. But coming up 10 minutes from now. I know. Listen,
people behind the scenes don't understand how much you just impressed yourself. That might have been one of your best transitions, and you impressed yourself so much, but you just don't want to admit it right now on air.
It's just, I'm just looking over at you right now, just giving you a nod, like, what's up, man? Like, listen, it's like when you complete that deep 20-yard out. And it's on a dime, and it gets there, right to the hands. You just look at the backup and you go, top that, chump.
That's why that's why you're not in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's so coming up 10 minutes from now. We've been talking about this. Things are changing. I believe the world of college football is going to be the most impacted by this. So we will have that for you at 10 minutes from now on FSR. The Dallas Cowboys, this is the least surprising story in the world. The Dallas Cowboys, we were talking about the combine moving around yesterday, and that was big news because it's always been in Indianapolis. It's been a tradition, and now they're going to start shopping it to other cities. So, of course, the Dallas Cowboys put in a bid. And it's the least surprising news because it feels like every time there's a major story in the NFL, doesn't it feel like the Cowboys are some way connected to all of them? Every single one. Jerry Jones has got his fingerprints on all of them.
And he does because I think he realizes that any publicity is good publicity now, even if it's not for something that fans are going to appreciate. But Dallas has done a good job of keeping themselves in the mix. It's why they're the most expensive franchise in all of professional sports. It hasn't necessarily boded well, though, for their team's success on the field. So that's the only issue. It's been good for their bottom line. It has not been good for them winning Super Bowls.
Okay, you talked to enough personnel people in the NFL, or you've talked to either owners in sports. If they could have one or the other, a championship or a massively successful franchise from a business standpoint, what would they rather have?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about coaches and players, they'd rather have a championship.
Yes, but I'm talking about owners.
Well, owners would rather have a better bottom line. It depends how they made their money, though. It comes down to the individual owner. Like, if you're Mark Davis and you inherited the team and you drive a Mini Cooper, which you just got in a fender bender.
Come on now.
You probably care more about the bottom line because even though a Super Bowl would be great and probably helps your bottom line, that's where you're getting your money. For some of these owners, if they made their money elsewhere, and it's like having a trophy and having an NFL franchise, then really you want the Super Bowls because you've already got money. It's more about the bragging rights to your rich buddies that you see when you're playing pickleball or cricket or polo or whatever the hell you do when you have that much money. That's what you need at that point. So I really think it matters more about the individual owner and where they're at from a financial standpoint.
Okay, what's the problem with the Mini Cooper? What's the problem? Why
I don't personally have a problem with it. I just think most people would think an NFL owner who, and I don't know, what his financial solvency is, but I would imagine he's worth a few $100 million because of the Raiders. Most would think he'd drive a different vehicle. I'm just saying.
Okay, what would be an appropriate vehicle for him to, get in a fender bender? A Hummer?
They don't even make those anymore. Any SUV, like any truck? I don't know.
Okay, well, that's how up to speed I am. Listen, I drive an 06. What the hell do I know? Like, I have no idea.
I think that's when they stopped making them, actually.
Thank you. I appreciate it. More positive feedback from Brady Quinn next.
Be sure to catch live editions of Outkick the Coverage weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific.
Been thinking about McDonald's all day. Can't get it off my mind. I can already taste it. Ooh, got my mind on my mouth and my mouth ready for some Mickey D's deal.
There's a deal for every moment at McDonald's.
Right now, get 2 of your favorites for just $3.50. Mix and match a classic McChicken, a hot and spicy McChicken, or a juicy McDouble. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Hey, it's Chuck Bryant from Movie Crush, and I want to let you know about a very special episode where I speak with TV legend Alan Ball on the 20th anniversary of his landmark HBO show, 6 Feet Under. We cover everything from the show's inception to its legendary final season and finale.
So many people have said that it was such a strong ending that's it's definitely very gratifying. A lot of other great shows have not been quite so lucky.
So head over to Movie Crush wherever you find your favorite shows and check out our 6 Feet Under 20th anniversary special with Alan Ball.